For Complex News, I'm Natasha Martinez. Kodak-Black has pled guilty and admitted to another gun charge in Niagara County Court. On March 12, 2020, Kodak pled guilty to attempted second-degree criminal possession of a weapon, which could have him facing between 2 to 7 years behind bars. However, this sentencing will be concurrent with his already existing sentencing of 46 months for federal gun possession, which happened last November. Despite his undeniable draw as an artist, Kodak has struggled to stay out of legal issues. In fact, his fan base is often tested by the morality of supporting a rapper who is to this day awaiting trial of a sexual assault case that happened back in 2016. 4 years later, he's still battling between being one of today's most popular rappers and being one of the most troubled young talents that this generation of rap has seen. That being said, here's a timeline of Kodak-Black's legal troubles and what he's set to face following in the most recent developments. February to December 2016. Hip-hop was introduced to Kodak-Black long before 2016, but this was the year that the community was heavily faced with the moral decision of supporting a rapper who had some serious allegations against him. On February 6th, Kodak was accused of sexually assaulting a woman in South Carolina. The warrant says that the then 18-year-old rapper assaulted a woman in a Florence hotel room. It was reported that Black forced the victim onto the bed and then onto the floor of the room before she was attacked. The warrant states that the victim told Kodak no and repeatedly asked him to stop. Police say that instead, Kodak bit the victim on the neck and chest, and a sexual assault kit confirmed those injuries. Before Kodak was set to face those charges, he had been in and out of jail in Florida since April 2016. The arrests varied from suspected drug deals, drug possession, and warrant violations from 2015. In May, he was arrested in Broward County again for open warrants related to previous charges of false imprisonment and armed robbery. In August, Black pled no contact to charges including robbery, false imprisonment, fleeing law enforcement, and possession of a firearm by a delinquent. Instead of facing the maximum 5 years, a judge sentenced him to a year of house arrest and 5 years probation. However, outstanding warrants for drug charges put Kodak back in prison for 120 days. Then, just as his sentencing was about to come to an end in November, he was transferred back to South Carolina to face the sexual battery charges, which hold a possible sentencing of 30 years and has yet to be settled in court. In December, he was released after posting $100,000 bail. February to May 2017. After enjoying just a couple of months of freedom, Kodak was arrested once again in February 2017. The arrest was due to the rapper violating the terms of his house arrest related to the May 2016 charges. However, the decision to take him into custody was the aftermath of an alleged assault of a bartender at a club in Miami. The woman who he assaulted did not formally file the charge, but she did identify him, saying he was the man that punched and kicked her at the club. Police presented the evidence in court. In April and May of 2017, Kodak seemed to dig his hole even further with a couple of angry outbursts. In April, he was accused of grabbing his anger management counselor by the arm after she threatened to call 911 because he refused to leave the session after intentionally disrupting their time. Just a few days later, he was found guilty on 5 counts of violating his house arrest. In May, he was sentenced to 364 days in prison with the possibility of early release if he passed a life skills course, which he did. Kodak was released after serving 97 days. January to April 2018. The year didn't start off promising for Kodak, who by now had been used to getting in trouble off of what he posts on Instagram Live. A particular broadcast in January really got him in hot water for child neglect. The live stream showed the rapper in his Broward home surrounded by drugs and weapons with his child nearby and in view of the live stream. Police were alerted and he was arrested for grand theft of a firearm, 2 charges of possession of a weapon or ammo by a Florida delinquent adult felon, possession of cannabis over 20 grams, child neglect without great bodily harm, and 2 counts of parole violation. Eventually, his lawyers were able to get some of those charges, including the child neglect, removed. When it came time for his sentencing in April, Kodak was hit with another 364 days in prison for the remaining January charges. He was able to count 90 days time served while awaiting trial. During this time, Kodak seemed to have made an effort to turn his life around while behind bars. He finished his GED and talked about writing a book. After he was released on probation, he started solidifying his place in music, releasing chart-topping songs like ZZ and scoring his first #1 album on the Billboard 200 with Dying to Live. April to November 2019. In April of 2019, Kodak's steady climb came to a stop when he was arrested at the Canadian border near Niagara Falls. Kodak was one of 3 people crossing the border driving in a Cadillac Escalade. The state police said that kodak-black was found with marijuana and that officers discovered a Glock 9mm pistol in the vehicle. He was arrested on charges of third-degree criminal possession of a weapon and unlawful possession of marijuana. In May, prior to his scheduled performance at Rolling Loud Miami, Kodak was arrested due to another allegation that he had lied on an official document while attempting to purchase a gun. The rapper allegedly checked no on a firearms transaction record when asked if he was currently under indictment for a crime. Kodak is still facing charges of the 2016 sexual battery charge. In August, Kodak pleaded guilty to the weapons and marijuana charges, and in November was sentenced to 46 months in prison. March 2020. The start of 2020 was concerning for Kodak. Multiple sources reported on his well-being in prison, from claiming that he was strategically being killed slowly behind bars and being drugged, to his lawyer Bradford Cohen saying that Kodak is in good spirits and is using his time to work on projects and read. The most recent update is that Kodak pled guilty to the gun charge that happened on the Canadian border in April 2019. ABC7 WKBW Buffalo reports that the rapper pleaded guilty to attempted second-degree criminal possession of a weapon. He's facing between 2 to 7 years behind bars. However, those will be served concurrent to his federal gun possession sentence from last November, which he's already been serving time for. If he is to receive a 5-year sentence for the new charge, he would finish the 4 years he's currently doing and then 1 year in prison in Niagara County. It's been a long legal road for Kodak-Black. He's due in court for sentencing next on March 24th. If he dodges any more time than he already has, Kodak will be released around August 2022. That's all for now, but for more, subscribe to Complex News on YouTube. For Complex, I'm Natasha Martinez.